Hey y'all, Stephen Lee here, the founder of DuFrane Watches, and I'm coming to you today from the new DuFrane Showroom slash shop number 2, and maybe even affectionately internally known between my wife and I as the DuFrane World Headquarters. So it's not quite open yet, but I'll be going through a video here soon with the entire build out so that everybody can see kind of everything that took place, including some history of this incredibly cool building. But as you can see in the background, over in this area here is the showroom. That's where all the pieces are laid out. This place is designed to be a very private showing of pieces. So it's not a retail spot where it's just open all the time. But I'll be updating the website to allow for folks either that are coming into town or that live here to just simply schedule some time, take a look at the pieces, kind of have a couch, kind of lounge area, maybe sip a little bourbon, a little wine, a little coffee, whatever's your flavor, and get to know the pieces. And there's a big difference when you actually see them on the website and put them on your wrist and see them in the metal. So that's what this place is designed to be, and more information on it coming soon. But what I wanted to do was, I have a workshop separately from this, but this is going to serve as the workshop number 2 and the showroom. I haven't yet built a piece here yet. So I wanted to actually, even before the shop is truly open, I've got everything pretty much here that I need to go and assemble a piece. So I'm going to assemble a Mabry today. And so why don't I just turn the camera here, get a little bit closer, and walk y'all through on assembly of the first Mabry in the new DuFrane showroom. Of course, the piece has been out for a month or so. I've been building pieces in my other shop, but this will be the first one, so I wanted to at least get a recording of it. So here we go. Okay, I hope that this will give folks a good enough visibility here of the little area here. So I'll try to hold up pieces where I need to that I'm trying to show something. But in any event, let's get to it. So first things first, we'll put on these finger cots to protect the movement from any oil, and then also to keep any fingerprints off the case itself. There's a bunch of different versions of these: silicone, latex. These are actually the first time I'm using these black non-latex versions, so they're actually pretty soft. So here we go. Okay, so first things first, let's put on the right headgear here. So this is always a fun thing to walk in. My wife loves walking in and seeing me underneath these things. Let's take the movement Salida SW200-1. This is the Elabor grade version of the SW200. You can see that it has a date wheel, a color match to the dial. This is the Moss version, so we have the green date wheel for it. I've already actually cut the stem to length just to kind of make it a little bit quicker. I do have a particular tool here, a stem cutting tool that is used to do that, but we'll go ahead and kind of cut that piece out of it so it's not to try to make this run a little bit faster. So the dial actually affixes to the movement with a couple of feet, so we have to kind of move the little feet tension bars out of the way. We put this date wheel spacer that helps the date wheel rotate freely and not, I guess, bind up, if you will, on the movement itself. So after that, we add the actual hour wheel to the, there we go, to the pinions. And here is the dial, again, the moss green. It has the injected mold indices. They loom up fantastically. I don't know if that'll charge very much or not, but it's a really cool dial. So simply get those dial feet to set inside the movement, and then very carefully, and this pad here is a very kind of firm gel-like, so it protects the whatever you're placed on it, whether it's a movement, whether it's the dial, as you can see, upside down. A lot of times I'll even put that little paper that you saw the dial come in, I'll put that paper down on top of that as well, but it's very, very soft so as to not damage anything. So once we have the dial affixed to the movement, we'll simply get the hands set. So I've already laid them out here. Now I have a new hand setting tool, which is actually, this is the first time I'll be using it here at the shop. I normally I have one at my other shop that has just one setting place, and I have to change the little heads each time I change, you know, and put the hour hand on, the minute hand on, and then the second hand on, because they're different sizes. And so this is actually convenient because I can just now, I've learned something after all these years. Just use the one tool and save a little bit of time because of the three different heads that are on there. So the what I'm going to do now is get the movement. I'm going to flip the date right at the 12 o'clock position, so that when I put these hands on at midnight each night, the date will flip right over as appropriate. Or noon, depending on if you've set your watch 12 hours slow. I actually had somebody the other day reach out to me and say, hey, this thing keeps changing the date, you know, during the day. I'm not really a big watch guy, so I'm not really sure if I've done something wrong. And, you know, if you don't know, the date wheel rotates every 24 hours, whereas the hour is a 12-hour dial, so it goes around every 12 hours. So that's why, you know, you always change this, or make sure that the date is actually setting or flipping right at that midnight position. You know, it would help if I turned it the right way. Okay, so the next thing is to actually make sure that that date wheel flips right at 12 o'clock. So I've got it just about ready to go, and so I very, very slowly turn that the wheel until it flips over. So right there I know it's right at dead 12 o'clock. So I can affix the hands now at that particular time, and that way the watch will, as it runs through midnight, the date wheel will flip over as appropriate. Okay, so first part of the stack is the hour hand. And I use brass tweezers. Brass is softer than stainless steel, and so if something's going to scratch, it will scratch the brass before it scratches the stainless steel. Now you can also use wood. Getting out my manual hand setting tool, but you can also use wood. I just prefer to use brass. So I just use that tool to set it very, very lightly, just to get it lined up on that stem properly, so that way when I can move this again directly and exactly to that 12 o'clock position. When I use the actual hand setting tool, then I can just press it down and not worry about having it not having it perfectly lined up. So we'll transfer this down to here. Make sure we're flat. It's straight up 12 o'clock. Yep. And there she goes. Okay. Now you always make sure that it's perfectly level, which it is. That's the beauty of that hand setting tool, is that it ensures that the placement of the hand is very, very straight and square. So the next one is the hour hand. Now this one you can, I like to call it cheat a little bit, just because once I set it very lightly with the hand setting tool, and then I'm able to manipulate it very, very slightly because I haven't really seated it. So I get it really, really close before I push it down all the way to really set it. And that way I can, like I said, manipulate it around a little bit. So first is just to get it very slightly on there, and then I can adjust. Perfect. And then there we go. And again, making sure that it's perfectly flat so that it doesn't interfere with any of the indexes, doesn't lean up or down and hit the other hand. Now you notice I didn't put the second hands on yet, and I don't have to worry about that being perfectly at the 12 o'clock position, just simply because it's a hacking movement, which means when you pull this crown out all the way, it stops the movement. So you can adjust the time to whatever you want, and the seconds then can follow suit in terms of if you want it to be straight at 30 the 6 o'clock position, 30 seconds or whatever. So it just doesn't matter where you have the second hand because of the hacking movement. All right. So I'm going to use what's called Rodico and just touch to pick up the second hand that way. And again, use this manual setter to just get it started. There we go. So it's just setting on there. And then use the hand setting tool itself to push it down there all the way. And again, going through, making sure nothing touches, everything's perfectly level. That way it sits not only on the dial correctly, but it's inside the case correctly. So you don't want the second hand to not be pushed down all the way, interfering with the crystal or something of that nature. So okay, next thing is we'll case it. So first thing I'll do here is take the case back off. This is a titanium case. So this is the first titanium watch that I've produced. I've been very, very happy with it. I think customers have been as well. It's super, super lightweight. I say this all the time, it almost feels like a toy when you've got it on, especially with the nylon strap that comes with it. So the seal here, I always drop it or put some silicone around it. This is a great little device, a greasing pad that thoroughly coats the gasket with a fine layer of silicone, so it makes the seating of the case back to the case extremely, extremely good. So what I'm going to do now, I may go off camera for just a second as I look to make sure there are no particles underneath the dial. So I ensure that the crystal is completely devoid of any lint or dust. And then I do the same thing with the dial. So the first thing I'll do though is remove the stem and crown. there's a small little release on the back of the movement. You have to very, very carefully depress. If you depress it too much, you might actually mess with the keyless works and then have to take everything apart and redo it. Somebody knows that because they've done it the wrong way years ago. So it is, what do you call experience, I suppose. Okay. Everything looks fantastic. So we'll apply that movement in dial into the case. We'll put the crown and stem in place. And again, I already cut this to length, and I use a little Loctite on the stem and crown to make sure that it doesn't unwind itself, because you are constantly winding and turning the crown in different directions. Now I use a Teflon movement holder simply because I want I wanted this watch to have a tremendously light weight, and so you can use stainless steel, aluminum, Teflon, or some people will call it plastic, but it actually is Teflon. But in any event, you have different options for these. I don't know that there's a better or worse one, but this, being a very lightweight watch, I wanted it to, to carry on that and that mindset of having the lowest amount of weight possible. So we'll get the movement holder in here, and it actually, you can hear it kind of crunching, if you will, into place. It's just there's some little feet on it, and they push through the actual threading of the case, and it sets in a little channel, and so that way it's very, very firm and fixed. Great. Everything looks great. So this is an automatic movement, automatic mechanical. Here's a small little piece of lint. Make sure that doesn't go in the movement. But this is the automatic winding rotor. So every time you move your wrist, it's winding your watch. And then of course you can do manual wind. So what I do now is I get it going about 15-20 turns, make sure it's running at full power, and I have a time grapher behind me that I do a timing check on it, and I regulate it. And they usually are leaving the shop around plus, -2, -1 to +2, maybe +3 seconds per day. So they're timed as close as I can get. It's not guaranteed, but as close as I can get to 0 per day without saying 0. So once that's done, again, I put the gasket around, put the case back on, and she's ready to go. So this is the timing that I just moved off of the bench, and so you can see it's actually running from the factory, from the movement factory at +6. Not sure if you can see that on the display, but it's +6. So I'm going to tweak it just a bit. So let me move the camera and show you how I adjust that. Simply advance or retard the timing. And we're running plus, so I'm going to slow it down. See, I moved it just a hair, so it's running right at the +1 range, and that's about where I like to go, +1, +2. You can see it's kind of settling a little bit, but somewhere in that range. So there we go. So that's the first piece assembled in the new showroom. Hope you enjoyed the video. Going to try to do more and more stuff, especially now that I'm here in the workshop, and be a video coming soon about the whole build out and the process, and then the website will be updated to allow folks that do want to schedule a showing. So thanks so much. Have a great holiday season as that's coming up, and wish you well. Thanks, y'all.